If you live in Germany, sooner or later, you will need a driving license. Shout out to Deutsche Bahn. Recently, I've just got mine and I did it from the first try. So in this video, I wanted to share my experience because honestly, these were the type of videos I was watching when I was preparing for my exam and it really helped me. I'm going to share my experience, what it was like, and in the end, my total costs. First, what are the requirements to get a driving license in Germany? On the screen, you will see all the requirements and you can use it as a checklist. Mandatory theory classes, 14 in your driving school. Mine were in German. First aid certificate and eye test. I registered for this at the center that is in our city, but some driving schools have their own. First aid classes, valid passport or identity certificate. Apply for the license at your local citizens office, Bürgeramt, and there you have to wait for their approval. So I would say do it as fast as possible because I had to wait for 3 months only to get this approval. Without that, you cannot take your theory exam. By law, you need minimum of 12 driving lessons. My biggest mistake was that after I passed all my required 14 hours at school listening to their theory in German, I started to prepare for practical exam and I thought that I cannot start with my practical driving license before. And that right now, when I look back, is a very big mistake. The first few driving lessons actually is about learning the basics. So your instructor will do most of the gas brake job. You will have to navigate, and for that you need to know the basics of rules, obviously the ones that you've learned during these 14 hours and your common knowledge too. I would suggest taking driving lessons as soon as possible because in my case, when I finished my theory exam, then there was a huge break in a couple of months because of summer vacation, so I had to wait again. I would say it's okay to start driving without passing theory exam. How I prepared for theory exam. So there are different apps. In my case, I just went with the one that my driving school suggested and I was pretty happy with it. Another thing, I learned everything in my native language and I also passed exam in my native language. So for me, it's like going back to school, you have to memorize and just be through with it. There are more than 1,000 questions that you have to go through when you're preparing, and some of them will be kind of repetitive. At the exam itself, you have 30 questions and you can get 10 penalty points. So let me know in the comments if you did your driving license in any other country and share the experience. How was it? Once you pass theory, your exams are valid for 12 months. And this is the period where you have to do your practical exam. Now you have your driving instructor, you just do your mandatory classes, but I have some helpful tips for you here how to maximize the effectiveness. And first is driving plate method. Take at home plate, any plate will do, or something that is round and remind you of the wheel. Record yourself on the phone saying left, right, and just start doing all the mandatory things that you have to do when you have to turn left or right. Schulterblick, mirrors, and then you turn. The more often you do it, the more automatic this becomes. And I think this is, for me, was the crucial thing, to automate the mandatory actions as much as I can, because during the exam, let's be honest, most of us will be nervous. And to minimize the pressure, if you already do stuff automatically without thinking, you just cannot fail. Another thing is practice traffic areas. Very useful thing that you can use in Germany. There are specific areas where you can vary it by the area, obviously. For around 10 euros at the moment of filming this video, it is 2026. You can practice parking, learning about the size of the car, just getting comfortable with driving. And it is a very good opportunity, way cheaper than the actual class. Sure, you don't have your instructor, but it just helps with getting used to it. Number 3, watch videos from the city you are driving in. It helped me a lot because I was seeing different traffic situations where is a tricky crossing or where you have to be more attentive because there is a pedestrian area, a residential area. Practical exam. Exam itself takes 55 minutes, and even if you're stuck in a traffic jam, it will count against the time. Don't hurry up. Okay, I was driving exactly at the speed limit and still I was told that I was way too fast. Whenever you have to do a Schulterblick, look over your shoulder, be really theatrical. Make it really pop. Whenever you park, your head has to become a helicopter. You would really need to look thoroughly and show the instructor that you know the drill. Before the exam, however, you get a few of theory questions. Those mostly include your knowledge of the car, how to open the hood, how to spot a flat tire. I linked here to this video a list of most common questions, but make sure you ask your driving instructor for these questions. During the drive, your instructor sits next to you and your examiner sits in the back right seat. If you keep with your eyes in this area, the spot of your driving instructor, you might see, because usually whenever they go through the same areas, their body will kind of help you. Obviously, that's not thing that you should completely rely on, but you will see by their gestures, by their body movement, if you should slow it down or if there is a right turn here or whatever. Sometimes it is super helpful. Did I mention practice makes perfect? So just for yourself, spot a few problematic zones. For me, for example, that was parallel parking. So I practiced it more, and at the exam, I was super nervous, and yet I nailed it because it was something I was doing so many times. Warning, the instructor turns on sound alarm for their pedals, and if you hear the signal of their emergency brake, it means immediately that you failed. If your examiner tells you left, you turn left, right, you turn right. If they stay silent, you just continue driving straight. Obviously, mind the signs. If you see that, for example, you cannot go straight because of the sign, you should ask, should I turn here left or right? There will definitely be lots of 30 zones, so make sure you do not drive 35, 31 or 32, especially if you drive down the hill, will be still acceptable, but I would say stay around 28 or max 29. Right before left junctures, very important, so you should really slow down and look on the right, very theatrical. If you continue driving, even if you spot that there are no cars with your vision, that won't do it. You should show the examiner. Even if you know it, you should show it. Otherwise, how would they know, right? So again, be very theatrical. Watch out for pedestrians. I'm sure you've heard about it, but I cannot stress enough how it is important. If you see someone is coming towards the crossing and you are not sure if they're gonna cross or not, you should really slow down and let them make the decision. If you just continue driving, even if you can, and they are still far away, that's a fail. Mind for cyclists. You should really keep the distance of 1.5 meters inside the city and 2 meters outside of the city, and this is very important. If you drive to the 70 zone, show the examiner that you know the rule and you go around 65, 67. Don't go slow. For me, residential areas were very difficult, where if the obstruction is on your side and you see the car approaching, you have to go back and find the loop, the spot where you can park temporarily and give the way for the car. So it is very important to always be alerted and look if someone is coming towards you. Some of the very obvious tips, but I just cannot go without them. Captain Obvious at the town. So have a good amount of sleep. Try to relax as much as possible, because at the evening you cannot do anything anymore, and just be calm. I remember I spilled my coffee on myself right before taking the exam. That's how much nervous I was, and it did not help me whatsoever. Okay, so you've driven perfectly. Now it's time to park. Do not forget, you open the door with your right hand. So, and absolutely important, do again the look over your shoulder to check in the mirror if there are cars coming, even if there are non-cars and you park near the TÜV or DEKRA center. And now the juicy part, how much did the license cost for me? So because I had to do 60 hours, that cost me around 5,000 euros, and it was in 2020. Driving license is insane, but I should tell you, at least I can drive right after that. And in the area where I live, you cannot leave without car, because I live in a very small suburban area and I have to go to work every day by car. That takes me around 10 minutes. And with the bus, it would have taken me around 40 minutes. So I believe in you and I'm sure you're gonna nail it. If this video was useful for you, I would really be happy if you give it a like, share it with your friends, and leave a comment. Small creators like me are very happy to see that their video is growing and people actually see the value in what they're doing. See you in the next one.